Hello, brothers and sisters. Salam alaikum. My name is Michael Pröbsting. I'm the International Secretary of the RCIT. We are here today in front of the Estonian embassy. Estonia plans to deport two Chechen brothers, Adam and Alihana, to deport them to Russia. These two brothers were already in prison in Russia for 7 years. And if they are now deported again back to Putin's empire, it is clear that they will face the worst possible repression, torture, and maybe Putin will kill them. We demand that Adam and Alihana can stay within Estonia, that they can stay within the European Union. We oppose their deportation. How is it possible that Estonia, whose government always presents itself as such a strong, strict opponent, enemy of Russia, how is it possible that this state, this government, deport Chechen brothers to Putin, to Russia? The reason is very clear. In words, the European Union always presents itself as an admirer of democracy and human rights. And they justify their opposition against Russia by reference to such human rights values. In reality, they do not care about human rights. Just remember how they supported Israel, sent weapons to make the terrible genocide of the Palestinian people possible. They do not care about human rights. They are opposed to Russia only because of great power interests. But the great powers, despite all their tensions and their animosities between each other, the conflict, they always are united against the small people, against the oppressed people. The Chechen people are an example and model of a small people which has resisted against Russian imperialism throughout its whole existence. Already in the 19th century, they resisted, they fought against the occupation by Tsarist Russia. For many, many years, they were able to push back the Tsarist, the Russian army. Later, they were horribly oppressed by Stalin and deported. And then again, when they strove for freedom, for independence, for an independent Ichkeria in the 1990s and in the 2000s, again, they resisted so heroically against the repression. It is true, Putin succeeded with a much, much larger army. He succeeded to defeat, to smash the Chechen resistance. But in their hearts, the Chechens remain dedicated to the cause of freedom, to the cause of justice. As I said before, the great powers always unite against the interests of smaller nations. And Chechnya is not the only example. Think about the Ukraine. In words, for years they all have admired the independence struggle of Ukraine. But now Trump and Putin have become friends, and they are prepared to sell out Ukraine and to hand it over to Putin, to sell out the country, to steal its natural resources. The oppressed people, the small people, have no friend among the great powers. Fight around the globe to strive for freedom, to strive for independence. Long live the struggle for a free and independent Chechnya. Down with Russia, down with Russian imperialism.
Protection to citizens of the occupied Chechen Republic of Ichkeria and the prevention of the deportation of Alihana Hassueva and Adama Denizova. The Chechen Republic of Ichkeria has been under military and political occupation by the Russian Federation for decades. Citizens of Chechnya are systematically subjected to political persecution, torture and forced disappearances, fabricated criminal charges, collective punishment, and forced mobilization to participate in the war against Ukraine. Today, thousands of citizens of the occupied Chechen Republic are forced to flee in order to save their lives, freedom, and human dignity. They are escaping unlawful mobilization, the threat of being used as instruments of war, and the real danger of torture, repression, and death. At present, there is a direct and immediate threat of deportation of two citizens of the Chechen Republic of Ichkeria, Alihana Hasueva and Adama Denizova. Alihana Hasueva and Adam left territory controlled by the Russian Federation in order to escape forced mobilization and a repressive system, choosing not to become killers and not to become victims. Their possible transfer to Russian authorities would expose them to a high risk of torture, unlawful detention, forced participation in the war, and a serious threat to their lives. Any deportation or extradition of Alihana and Adama Denizova to the Russian Federation would constitute a direct violation of the principle of non-refoulement as enshrined in the 1951 UN Convention related to the status of refugees, the European Convention on Human Rights, and other international human rights instruments. In circumstances where the Chechen people have no effective means of protection or resistance within the occupied territory and where any dissent is brutally suppressed, we are compelled to appeal for urgent support from democratic states in Europe. In light of the above, we strongly demand that the Republic of Estonia immediately prevent the deportation of Alihana Hasueva and Adama Denizova and ensure that they are not transferred to the Russian Federation.
Tell you, please, if you want to deportate the Chechen people, then deportate them to Ukraine. In Ukraine they will live free and don't become a killer, a murderer. In Ukraine they will be the free people. In Russia they will be the meat for the Putin's war. Please, don't make them the killer. Please don't let them die for Putin. Please don't send the Chechen people, the free people of Ichkeria, to the worst system which exists nowadays. Free Ichkeria! Слава Україні!
Героям слава!